I mean, we really don't have any other option because certainly the defendants in this case are not going to be speaking out to the public except through their lawyers. We don't have any other option but to believe the federal government and their claims, their outrageous claims of what it is they've disrupted here. Um, the the exact numbers we're talking about is the Liberty Reserve processes more than $12 million financial transactions annually, with a combined value of 1.4 billion dollars, and the federal government is claiming that they've laundered. Or Liberty Reserve has assisted in laundering over $6 billion in criminal proceeds, which you can see the numbers don't quite add up there, even in the official party line here. But that is in fact what the government's claiming. I don't believe it. I think there's an overstatement. I think you see this a lot of times when you look at uh, you know see in the local news when a drug ring has broken up and they talk about how many millions of dollars worth of marijuana they've seized, and they're usually talking about some sort of exaggerated claim of street value as opposed to the actual amount that they seized and what criminal activity they've disrupted.
So before we go any further, if you would just take a moment and explain to us Liberty Reserve and how they worked and operated.
Yeah, so I mean, very simply put, their payment processing system, just like PayPal. It's been overstated in the press, mostly by virtue of a flawed initial report from Krebs on security, that they're some sort of virtual currency akin to PayPal. I mean, sorry, akin to Bitcoin. This is not the case. They're most Is the best way to analogize them to any other thing that most people are familiar with is like they're just like PayPal. The difference being, of course, is they have a different method of funding your accounts and a different method of keeping records on you. Whereas PayPal, to comply with American AML, anti-money money laundering and banking regulations, keep very extensive records on the people that it serves. Liberty Reserve prided itself on allowing this thing we talked about the other day, pseudonymity, where they kept only the kind of the bare metal of records on their customer base, so that they could uh, attract perhaps a more global audience that wouldn't necessarily be tied to U.S. markets. It's very difficult for to get a valid United States identification if you're, say, a citizen of Bolivia or any other country that's not America. And this is the audience that Liberty Reserve catered to.
So why was the spotlight placed on Liberty Reserve as opposed to other payment exchanges?
Well, so I don't think anybody's denying that criminal activity was done with Liberty Reserve. Because it allowed pseudonymity, much like paper cash allows pseudonymity, paper cash transactions. That it attracted maybe a more unsavory element. I knew that for going back years and years. I mean, I'm not involved in the criminal underworld, so I perhaps wasn't as aware that this is the payment processor of choice for criminals. But I do know there was an unsavory element, perhaps. Maybe unsavory is even overstating it. A lot of multi-level marketing schemes and what are called HYIPs, high yield investment programs, which are a nice way of describing what are called pyramid schemes, tended to use Liberty Reserve. Just because other organizations that are payment processors and banking systems that had merchant accounts and services tend to discourage those types of businesses because they're high risk businesses from a credit processing perspective. And the shadier side of the world, if you want to talk about why is criminal activity concentrated on Liberty Reserve as opposed to other payment processors, well, it's really difficult to do perform all your criminal money laundering and other transactions on a system that has your home bank account or your home address and your banking account information and your mother's maiden name and all this other stuff that PayPal requires and every other bank in America requires when you set up an account.
Okay. Now, what specific features of Liberty Reserve is the U.S. government taking exception to?
So it's the stuff we talked about a second ago. Actually, it's a combination of two features. Much like when we were talking about the dot com mega or the dot com's seizure of his service, it was two features for him that got him in trouble. It was the affiliate program and the direct download to links. So other services have one aspect or another and haven't gotten in trouble. That's the same thing with Liberty Reserve. It's a combination of two features: allowing pseudonymity for a payment processor, and allowing and creating shopping cart functionality, which almost all payment processors have. So PayPal, even major banks in America offer shopping cart functionality. There's a lot of those that have been started up in the last few months for Bitcoin. It's not the shopping cart functionality on its own, of course, that got them in trouble. It's shopping cart functionality with allowing clients or users of the system to have pseudonymity.
Now, with the shutdown and seizure of Liberty Reserve, what unintended consequences might this have on the U.S. economy and individual freedom?
Well, it's a way to further isolate the United States digitally from the rest of the world from an economic perspective. I mean, the motivation for the government to participate in this action is very clear. Whether or not you believe Liberty Reserve is culpable or not for the criminal activity that took place, in its user base. I mean, you can say that you can make a strong argument that the United States government is just as culpable for criminals using its cash system to conduct criminal transactions as Liberty Reserve is. I'm not going to necessarily make that case, but you can definitely say that the actions of the federal government here have caused other payment processors that operate outside the United States, other payment processors, other money changers, even other legitimate and accredited banks to withdraw service to American citizens. There's been at least a half dozen other payment processors, banks, and market exchanges that have disallowed American citizens from participating with their service for fear that seizure will happen, much like it happened to MT Gox a few weeks ago and is now happening with Liberty Reserve. They just don't want to take the chance.
Mark, you bring up MT Gox, which brings up Bitcoin, and we are running short on time, but I want to bring this up briefly. Mashable wrote what you called the most uninformed post you've ever seen.